But Burkina Faso, because of one man, Captain Ibrahim Traoré, his vision, his commitment, patriotism, and leadership has all come together to set him aside as a beacon of hope for Africa. We are still under the shackles of new colonialism. And at this time, they are not holding guns on our heads. They are using global institutions, the World Bank, IMF, they give you loans.
Ojemba Africa, telling our stories by ourselves.
Hello, welcome to Ojemba Africa, the voice of Africa, where we tell our own stories by ourselves. Today is a very important day because we are having our regular guest, whom, if you listen to him, you will understand why we call him the professor of African history, culture, and tradition. The last video we had, the last interview we had, it was amazing. If you have not seen it, just go back to our archive and check out the videos. They are there for you. I'm talking about no other person than Mr. Enyinaya. Sir, welcome to our program once again.
Ojemba,
thank you, sir.
Thank you so much for having me again.
Thank you.
You are doing a great job. You're really making Africa proud. We're so proud of you.
Thanks you,
for the great job that Ojemba is doing.
Thank you.
And thanks for having me today once again.
Thank you. We really appreciate you always coming whenever we call you. Even though you have a very tight schedule, you still make time to be our guest. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Today we have very few questions that our subscribers have been asking about Africa. To start with, I want to ask you about our so-called democracy. Is it the same that the West is practicing?
So-called.
Yeah.
You already said it all.
Yeah.
So democracy is a Western ideal. That is why it's working for them to the extent that it's working for them. But it's not typically African. I'll give you an instance. Africa leadership is mostly gerontocratic, which means by elders. By the older you are, the more you are given resonance, the more you are getting more prominence in leadership. Okay, so in Africa we respect leadership by the old, and we assume or we say that they are wise. That is why that prominence is given to them. But not so in democracy, which is based on they say it's the government of the people, by the people, and for the people, where majority rules. In Africa, we have majority ruling, like in the Igbo culture, where we have what we call Ohaneze, or the village assembly. So when a topical issue comes up in the Igbo society, the masses across all strata of the society, the old women, the old men, even the secret societies, the you know, and the youths of different segments, they all come together under the great tree in the village square to discuss the issue, the communal issue affecting the society. And everybody makes an input. At the end of the day, we have kings and royalties, but these kings are not absolute monarchs. They are not absolute monarchs, so they sit back and they listen to the popular. In fact, let me just summarize that Africa has some of the oldest democracies in the world. But we don't call it democracy. We didn't call it that. So there are other forms of leadership that shares aspects of what we call democracy, of what we call democracy today. But we don't call it democracy. But we have been practicing aspects of what the West came together and said, guys, this is democracy and you must practice it. So finally, the formula that the West brought together and said, this is democracy, it's not working in Africa. It's not going to work. It's not going to work because the society, historically, we are not the same. Culturally, we are not the same. DNA-wise, we are not the same. So what works for Mr. A must not necessarily work for Mr. B. And in effect, if you have any respect, any atom of respect for identity, for expression of opinion, okay, then you must respect this diversity of culture, this diversity of voices. You must not foist it on Africa to be democratic along your own framework, because we have our own form of democracy, which has been working for us for hundreds of thousands of years. And I've given you an example of the typical Igbo society as one of the oldest democracies in the world, like that of the Chinese, the Japanese, evolved from their culture. You cannot effectively teach your son how to be an Abreba man with a Western culture. Okay? The Chinese, they don't teach physics and chemistry with the English language. Why do we do that in Africa? So, for your son to effectively learn how to be African and how to be an Abreba man, he has to learn his identity through the medium of his language, so that there is congruence in his identity, in his language, and what he is learning to evolve into. So this is really so much to talk about, but we will have more insights as we go on.
Now, I want to ask you about what's happening in the Sahara region. What are they talking about?
It's simple. Burkina Faso has become the beacon of light in a pitch dark, hopelessly pitch dark environment. Burkina Faso has ignited a spark that we are really, really praying that it becomes a conflagration. So all the big giants in Africa, they have not been able to do that. But Burkina Faso, because of one man, Captain Ibrahim Traoré, his vision, his commitment, patriotism, and leadership has all come together to set him aside as a beacon of hope for Africa. The reason everybody is talking about not just Burkina Faso but Traoré is because Africa has been moving in a particular direction, okay? And in that direction, we have been knocking our head on a concrete fence, and it has not budged. But this man has come up and he's saying that we can now look inwards, find strength in ourselves, and say no to those who have been leading us to go and be knocking our head on that brick wall, to look inwards and say no to them and look in a particular direction where there is hope. In other words, Traoré is saying that Africa is enough for itself. It's not a new message, Ojemba. It's not a new message. People like De Bois, people like the Osagyefo, Kwame Nkrumah, the Julius Nyerere, them, who's this young man that was assassinated? What's his name? Thomas Sankara. Even our own Julius Malema. You may not like him, but it's the same message his economic EEF party is portraying, is the identity. Africa is capable for itself. Decolonize Africa. Decolonize Africa thoroughly. African states are said to be independent, but in reality, are we really independent? No, we are not. We are still held by the shackles of colonialism, now in the form of neo-colonialism. So it was colonialism, then it became imperialism, and now it's neo-colonialism. Okay? So we are still under shackle, and that is why a country like France will be saying no to what Traoré is trying to do, even to the point of a sovereign nation, one sovereign country threatening another country. That is against the tenets of international law and conventions. And you see, it is this same West that is telling us about democracy. And one of the tenets of democracy is the sovereignty of states. Why is France flaunting the the sovereignty of Burkina Faso by threatening. One king doesn't chase away another king or tell another king how to rule. So Traoré is telling Africans that we are enough. We have what it takes. We are educated. We have the resources. The resources should be. You see, Trump is talking about make America great again, MAGA. He's saying America should not be going to fight other people's war. We have a war at home. Let's fix America. That's what MAGA is about. So why should Africa not fix Africa? And that is the story. That is the trajectory of Traoré's leadership. Let us fix Africa first. Malema is saying the same thing.
Then, if that is the case, why there has been rumors of assassination attempts and stuff like that? Why is it that our leaders are like silent? They're not saying anything about it.
What are they able to say? They are stooges. They are stooges. What are you able to say when you're a stooge? During the time of Jonathan's election, America was very, very practically involved in deciding how that election went. So why would Buhari, for instance, become a president and be anti the United States? He cannot effectively do that. So the one who pays the piper dictates the tune. That's what it is. We are still under the shackles of new colonialism. And at this time, they are not holding guns on our heads. They are using global institutions, the World Bank, IMF, they give you loans.
Do you think that other African leaders, they are intimidated by the result of Captain Ibrahim Traoré?
Yeah, with the exceptions of the presidents of Mali and of Niger, because they are in the same alliance of Sahelian states with Traoré. They are intimidated, they are envious. You know, earlier I spoke to you about somebody who is doing something you know you should be doing, but you're not able to do it. And you see a young man doing it, and instead of being inspired and, you know, even helping along where you can, and there's some other less humans imposed will go the way of jealousy and trying to destroy their brothers, you know. So yes, I agree with you. They are jealous, they are envious, but what can they do?
We see Nigeria as a giant of Africa they claim to be. Do you think that they have disappointed Africa? Because they should lead this movement.
Nigeria was the giant of Africa. But unfortunately, in my own assessment, it's so heavy to say it, but I think we are going down the road of no longer being that giant. Going down the memory lane, there was a time in the 60s when there was a big war in Congo. Nigeria sent forces to fight in Congo. It wasn't our war. People like JTU Aguiyi-Ironsi, he fought in Congo. They fought with pride. That was Nigeria being the giant of Africa. When there was war in Sierra Leone, when there was war in Liberia in the 90s, Nigeria, the big brother, was there. In the 80s, during the time of apartheid in South Africa, Black South Africa was under serious oppression. Nigeria did not go to war directly. Nigeria contributed money to the anti-apartheid fight. And even at some point, Nigeria accommodated some people who ran away because of the oppression there, you know, activists and all that. Nigeria has so much wealth and so much spirit to have been that big brother, to play that big brother role. But in recent times, let me tell you, to be a big brother, you have to be selfless.
Ochimba Africa, telling our stories by ourselves.